What's up, guys? We have our first two games of the season. Our first game right here is going to be going up against De'Aaron Fox and the Sacramento Kings, and then our second game is going up against the Phoenix Suns. I do think that these are two good matchups for us, as each team is going to test their team in a little bit of a different way. The Kings do have a bit of a stronger, bigger lineup, especially with starting Marvin Bagley, who's nearly 7 feet tall at the power forward spot. I do think that is going to make it a bit of a test for our power forward, which is Larry Nance Jr., and we're going to see if he's going to be able to match up with some of the bigger guys in this league. And for guys like Jusuf Nurkic, this is also going to see how well can he do rebounding, especially since he's really the only true rebounder in our starting lineup. For Damian Lillard, I'm going to kind of want to measure how well he does defending against De'Aaron Fox. Fox is one of the fastest guards in the league and just a good scorer both on the inside and outside, so I am curious to see if Lillard can keep up with him on the defensive end. So besides that, let's talk about our team a little bit. Namely, let's talk about two guys, being CJ McCollum and Norman Powell. As I discussed a little bit in the last episode, these guys are at subject for trade where we're just going to have to let go one of them. Two small guards who play a very similar role. There just isn't too much of a point or really even an ability to have both of them on the roster. As I did say earlier, I don't want one of them coming off the bench. While they could help out our starting lineup, it would also crowd the bench and we would be without a small forward in the starting lineup. And in the last episode, we also went over a few trades, mostly for McCollum, or even a few trades trying to see what we can do with Powell. So I did use these two games here as a bit of a test for them. I did notice that McCollum definitely felt like the better offensive player. I liked his release, his animations, and I felt like he had a little bit easier of a job getting towards the hoop. That's a nice shot by him right there. As far as Norman Powell, he definitely still did good on the offensive end. He didn't really get as many touches. I didn't have him in as long, and he was also playing the 3 spot, so that makes it a little harder for him to gauge. But I also noticed, and we'll especially see this more in our next game against the Phoenix Suns, but CJ McCollum got sauced on nearly every single time he touched the ball. Going up against a team like Phoenix with two very good perimeter scorers in Chris Paul and Devin Booker, they're a good way to measure and mostly show off our defensive shortcomings. That is also why I decided to pick up Marcus Smart, so that's why we're going to be seeing him in the next game. And every time Marcus Smart is out there, our defensive rating shoots through the roof, but anytime we had CJ out there, we were really struggling on the defensive end. So even though CJ is a bit of a better player, I am trying to get rid of him first, as he does have also a bit of trade value. I really do like using McCollum, and it does suck having to get rid of him, as he is just such a key part to this team for the last few years. But ultimately, I just don't think we're ever going to win a championship with CJ McCollum as our number 2 guy. So this means that we're likely going to be seeing Norman Powell as our starting 2 guard for the next few years. Powell is the better finisher, he's a world better of a defender, and honestly, they're both around 18-19 points per game scoring. So I don't think that we're going to see too much of a drop off with that. And ultimately, Powell is also only like 27, and meanwhile McCollum is like 31 or 32. So we're probably not going to see Powell increase too much, but I also think that there's a chance that we're going to at least see his stats go up a little more than we'll see McCollum. So in the next episode, I'll be going over exactly who I traded for him. I am leaning towards Jimmy Butler a bit, but I just don't know if we'll be able to get him from the Miami Heat. And that is just also a ton of draft picks that we'll have to lose. And also for other moves that I made, actually in the process of making this video, I decided to go ahead and trade Dennis Smith Jr. to the Miami Heat for Andre Iguodala and a 2nd round draft pick. I know Iguodala is 37 years old and he is a pretty low overall, but he still has an A in defense and a B+ playmaking, so he's going to be that veteran player that we need coming off the bench. I don't expect him to create too much of his own offense, but he's going to be another true playmaker out there because I'm not counting on Marcus Smart for that too much. I also think he's going to add to our defensive integrity on that end a little bit, as we still don't have the strongest defensive bench. So just like how Marc Gasol was, I don't think we're going to be seeing him play too many minutes per game, probably not more than maybe 10 or 12, but I think that they can definitely provide some valuable minutes in there. So anyways, let's get into this game against the Phoenix Suns. We do get off to a hot start where we start off 10-0, but right here is where I'm talking about. Devin Booker just embarrasses CJ McCollum, basically plays with his food before hitting the step back in his face. And we're going to come back on offense. Lillard is actually able to hit the pop and stop 3-pointer off of a pick and fade. That was good to see, but the Suns slowly start rolling back, mostly from the carry behind Devin Booker from both a playmaker and from shooting the ball. Right here, that's kind of some of the dribble moves I like to see, and this is what makes it hard to trade McCollum, is I love his dribble moves. I think he does a good job generating separation, and it is really easy to free him up at the mid-range spot. That he generates a lot of opportunities out there, and that even opens up some screeners a little bit, like how we saw there. But as I've just been talking about, he just gets beaten up so many times by Devin Booker in this game where I just can't continue using him in good faith. Right here, old man Cody Zeller, he's able to get a bucket, and then right here, Chris Paul's going to get right past Damian Lillard, showing off how weak on the perimeter we are defending. I am okay with Damian Lillard giving up those kind of shots because it is Damian Lillard, but when both Lillard and CJ McCollum are just getting blown by Chris Paul and Devin Booker, we have to change something about that. Once again though, CJ McCollum, he's able to respond back with a big three-pointer. Now Smart's going to dish it off to Lillard. Lillard gets Devin Booker distracted, and that's going to open up Smart, and he hits a deep three-pointer. And back on offense, Lillard is going to attack the rim again. We fail on the dunk. I'm not sure how much of a fan I am of that dunk timing. I like the idea of making posterizers a little more challenging, but I feel like 2K may have gone too far. And honestly, it just is really hard to dunk with a lot of these guys. Tell me if you've seen this one before. Now we're going to see Chris Paul cross over Anthony Simmons, and he's going to hit the contested jumper from mid-range. Now back on offense, we're going to be running a double screen where McCollum's able to get by. He converts the tough layup over Devin Booker. So even though McCollum is giving up a lot of points, at least he is able to get back on Devin Booker for the most part. Right here, we make the mistake of trying to double DeAndre Ayton in the post. That's going to leave Mikal Bridges open. And while at one point we did have a big lead on the Suns, they narrowed it down to just 3 points with a minute left. Devin Booker hits another clutch shot, but Damian Lillard is able to respond back with free throws. In the last 10 seconds of the game, Devin Booker is going to find it to Bridges. Bridges, usually one of the best corner shooters in the league. For whatever reason, he shoots that. Now Chris Paul gets the ball. He attempts to throw it up, but Cody Zeller, shooting his first ever three-pointer on the team, launches it from half court, and that's going to give us the win. We escaped this one 65-62. Lillard and Nurkic both had a big game with the adjusted stats on. Lillard had 36 points, 10 rebounds. Nurkic had 21 and 14, and McCollum combined for 12. Not too much of Powell or Simmons, unfortunately, but I was still pretty happy with how the two of them played. Alright guys, that is it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next one where we're going to be making a trade and getting rid of either CJ McCollum or Norman Powell. We're also going to be probably simming ahead a few weeks to see how this team does. That's it for this one. I'll catch you guys later.